Should we cheers first?
Cheers. Alrighty, guys. Welcome to the All That Glitters podcast. Today is going to be 25 minutes straight of Haley just giggling.
I have the gigglies today. I don't know what it is. It might have been the Bloody Mary earlier, but I'm going to hold it together.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
So we picked a very special topic of conversation. Well, it's special to us. Hopefully it's special to you guys. It is the topic of our engagement. And we had a few people asking about the story. And even though there's a video on YouTube, we felt we could probably do more justice to it by doing a podcast about it.
Yes, and we have done a few episodes relevant to our courtship, like how we met, talked about relationships, conflict management, and I don't know, California just locked up again, so I feel like revisiting joyful times in life is a good move.
Totally. Live in the positive. And what's more positive than an engagement story, an engagement story that was successful?
Agreed.
So
far, it's successful.
Yeah, I know, right?
To be determined on the wedding.
Yeah, well, one of these years.
Yeah, but I do love this story so much, and I do think that being able to just sit down and talk it through from start to finish, the little nuances, will hopefully add some excitement beyond the video. But we will link the video in the show notes below, so check that out if you get a chance.
All right, so where to even start? Let's start back in January of 2019.
Was a good time. Pre-mask days.
Yeah, pre-mask days. So I don't remember when exactly it was. I think it was just late January, maybe even early February. But I reach out to Hearts on Fire, and I didn't want them to know my plan because I wasn't sure if they'd play ball with me. But I give them a call. I called your friend May, and I was like, listen, Haley and I's engagement is coming up. I was curious if you could do some sort of like custom piece, a special piece for Haley. And there was a pause, and she was like, yeah, absolutely, anything for Haley. They were so sweet.
Aw, that's sweet.
So then I saw that they were willing to work with me. So without revealing too much, I was like, what if this was for more than an engagement?
Oh, I hear that more than.
And she's like, oh. So that's when I got the ball rolling, so to speak. And I started working with Hearts on Fire to design your engagement ring.
That's pretty cool, man. I mean, I kind of knew part of that already, but we are telling the full story. I will say I'm surprised that not a single peep came out of that because we were amidst designing a new collection with Hearts on Fire, and you know, it's just an amazing, empowering group of women, and I guess I'm not surprised because this is part of their business, is keeping those stellar secrets. But yeah, I knew nothing of this, so that made it all the more exciting. And well, we'll get to the ring later. So I think it was late May. We had been traveling already a lot that year, and Conrad came home from work and said to me, okay, I'm jonesing another vacation. I think it should just be us two this time. If, you know, we could go to either the Hamptons or St. John, which place would you want to go? And obviously I was like, oh my gosh, St. John, please, because not only is it the most magical place ever, but it was actually the first place we ever went on vacation together before we were even official, I feel, like officially dating. I even remember telling my mom, I'm going on a trip with some friends. But I was going with Conrad.
Friend.
One friend in particular. A boy, Mom, a boy.
And it was really just an underhand pitch to give you the illusion of choice because we both knew you were going to pick St. John over the Hamptons. Who wouldn't?
Oh, well, I don't know. That was both choices very lucky to even be able to pick, but yes, so St. John. And then what happened next? Okay, so we went through June, and then July came around. For July 4th, we went to Lake Tahoe with my family, and apparently there was some groundwork laid there as well.
We weren't sure if we were going to go, and I still needed to ask her mom and dad for permission, you know, to be proper and such. And so I'm like, you know what? I know we're a little indecisive here, but I think we really need to go out to Tahoe for the 4th of July. It's what we have to do. So I was encouraging as possible to get us out there. Once we got out there, I was struggling to find a time alone with her dad to initiate the question. And finally, I think 2 days into the trip, I was able to pull him away from his workout in the gym, and I could tell.
In the gym.
I could tell he was a little like,
what are you bothering me for? I'm in the middle of a workout.
exactly. And I'm like, yeah, come take a walk with me. So we start.
A walk?
So he's like, what the hell's going on? Or maybe he knew exactly. This would be a good question for Jeff. I'm like, listen, I really love your daughter, and I want to spend the rest of my life with her, and I'd really love your permission in asking her to marry me. And it was as anticlimactic as you could imagine. He's like, yeah.
Take her.
Get her out of here. And he's like, you two are great together. What you don't know is that I had laid some groundwork prior, because I knew I was doing this in St. John, and I had texted them in private, not letting Haley know that I had invited them under the disguise of I want to give Haley a belated anniversary surprise. And so I'd already laid that groundwork. I'd asked her dad this big question, can I marry your daughter? And followed it up with, so do you also want to join us for our St. John trip? And I think initially I was going to surprise everybody. I wanted to first ask and then surprise everybody. And then he was like, well, I have a lot of cases, because he's a surgeon. He's got work to do. He was a little hesitant, and he's like, I just don't know if I can get off work. I'm like, all right, time to ask mom then.
Funny, because usually growing up, I would ask mom. She would always say no, so I'd have to go right to dad. But yes.
So I go straight to Mimi, and I let her know. And I'm like, listen, my family's going to be out there. I'm going to ask your daughter to marry me, and yada, yada, yada. And one thing led to another, and they ended up coming out. Once they knew that that's where I was going to propose, I think that's sort of what changed their mind.
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
My mom's like, is this for real? Then I'll come.
So I get them to come out there after a little bit of, I don't know, what's the word here?
Convincing?
That's right. Thank you. And all the while, I'm on a tight deadline with the ring, because all the jewelers are going on 4th of July vacation, I guess. And we were on like a super tight deadline. So we were racing against the clock, and all of this stuff had to fall in place for it to work. I didn't pick up the ring until 5 days before we were headed to St. John, and I had to tell Haley I had just had a back-to-back day at work, and really I was taking the train up to Boston to go get the ring.
Aw, that's awesome. What an adventure.
It was quite an adventure. One that when I got back, I hid the ring in the sock drawer. I'm so glad you're not Snoopy.
I'm not Snoopy, but, Okay, so before we left St. John, Conrad told me that we would be doing some content photo shoots out in St. John, and to bring some of my favorite red carpet pieces. I don't have a whole lot of content of that collection, so I was like, oh, I love this idea. And ironically enough, he came to my office to take a look at some of the pieces and help me bring them home. And he was like, oh, you should bring this one. And he pointed to this like all over white feathery dress. And I was like, oh, no. If I take that one, people will think we got engaged or we're married already.
Like, oh no, that's awful.
It's awful. But it was
we don't want that.
It just was a sign that I had literally no idea what was going down. So I just wanted to bring my favorite dress out there, which was the Fleetwood. So anyway, long story short, we hop on the plane out to St. John, and when we arrive, you have to either take a ferry to the island or some other method of transportation.
A helicopter?
Which was a helicopter, and I am terrified of helicopters. He's like, we're gonna take this, and oh my gosh, it was a thrill, but it was scary.
Our friends Tony and Randy, whose house we were staying at, surprised us with a helicopter ride when we landed.
So generous, but I was terrified. And then I was like, are we really riding one of those sky dancers to the island?
You were terrified, I was exhilarated. We were there in a quarter of the time. It was fantastic. So we land, and we pull up to the property, and I'm like, we really need to get a manicure and pedicure.
Oh, I forgot to drop this little nugget. So